I get it, you're scrolling through endless coffee machine options, wondering if you should drop a few $100 on something that promises barista-level drinks at the push of a button. You've probably already imagined the sleek piano black unit on your countertop, the click of the grinder, the hiss of steam, and then the what if it's just a fancy gadget that gathers dust feeling. I was in the same spot last month, trying to decide whether an automatic machine was worth the investment for my small apartment kitchen. Before you spend any money, let me walk through what living with the Jura E85th Gen actually looks like, the moments it shines, and the compromises that show up once the hype settles. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the Jura E8 isn't just a coffee maker. It's a whole brewing ecosystem packed into a single footprint. The bundle includes the machine itself, Jura's Aroma G3 grinder, and a glass milk container that slots neatly under the brew group. The grinder is a key part of the experience because it grinds beans on demand, preserving freshness and letting you experiment with different roast profiles without having to pre-grind and store. In real life, that means if you wake up craving a bright Ethiopian single origin one day and a dark Italian blend the next, you just load the beans, press a button, and the machine takes care of the rest. The whole bean approach also eliminates the stale powder taste you sometimes get from pre-ground beans that sit in a drawer for weeks. Now, let's talk about daily usability. The first thing you notice is the intuitive display and the one-touch coffee selections. I set the machine up on a weekday morning, just a few minutes after turning it on, and it was ready to pull a shot within 30 seconds. The pre-programmed drinks espresso, lungo, cappuccino, latte macchiato are all mapped to dedicated buttons, so you don't have to remember a recipe. The real advantage shows up when you start customizing. The machine remembers your preferred strength, water temperature, and milk froth density for each drink, so after a couple of tweaks, it essentially becomes your personal barista. In a family of 3, that meant my partner could get a quick espresso, while the kids got a milky latte, all without me fiddling with settings each time. The intelligent water system is another practical piece that often goes undernoticed. It's a sensor that monitors the water quality and automatically adjusts the brewing parameters to compensate for hardness. In my city's water, which is on the harder side, I noticed the coffee retained a cleaner flavor over weeks compared to an older machine that would develop a metallic aftertaste. The system also alerts you when the water filter needs swapping, so you never end up brewing with exhausted filter media, a subtle but real cost saver. Strengths become clearer when you think about the hidden labor that usually comes with a manual espresso setup. With a traditional machine, you grind beans, dose, tamp, lock the portafilter, and then clean the group head after each use. The Jura E8 automates all of that. The brew group is self-cleaning, and the milk system runs a cleaning cycle at the push of a button. I've gone a full month without manually scrubbing any part of the machine, which is a huge win for anyone who values convenience over ritual. However, there are trade-offs that matter once the novelty wears off. The first is price. The bundle sits in the upper mid-range of home espresso machines, and while the quality is solid, it isn't cheap. If you're a casual coffee drinker, someone who enjoys a drip brew most mornings and only occasionally wants a frothy cappuccino, this might be more capability than you'll actually use. The machine also has a fairly large footprint. The glass milk container adds height, and you need space for the drip tray and water tank. In a cramped kitchen, you might find it a bit imposing. Another practical weakness is the learning curve around the grinder settings. While the machine offers preset grind levels, fine-tuning the grind for specific beans can take a few attempts. I spent a couple of mornings experimenting to get the right balance for a light roast that tended to over-extract. That's not a deal breaker, but it does mean the first week can feel a little trial-and-error, especially if you're used to the simplicity of a pod system. The milk frothing system is impressive for cappuccinos and lattes, but it isn't designed for latte art enthusiasts who demand precise microfoam. The glass container produces a consistent, velvety foam, yet the texture is a shade thicker than what you'd get from a professional steam wand. If your ideal latte has that glossy, mirror-like surface, you might still need a separate handheld frother for the occasional perfectionist moment. Who should walk away? If you're on a strict budget, love the ritual of manual espresso, or only need a basic coffee maker, the Jura E8 will feel like an over-engineered piece of hardware. Likewise, if your kitchen space is limited to a single-lot countertop, the machine's dimensions could become a hindrance. On the other